Yo, safe. It worked. I think it works. I think it was working. I'm like on YouTube and Twitch at the same time. Stream Elements just released this update and they were like, hey, we do this multi-streaming now. And I was like, oh, cool. So safe, welcome to a stream. Happy Wednesday. Ants and Jason and Jack Holly in the house. Long time. I hope you are all doing very well. Yeah, I kind of like with YouTube, it just got like to the point where I was like, I need a break. And I have been streaming on Twitch, but as a kind of much less consistent thing, just as and when the time strikes. But now we can do our inconsistent as and when the time strikes streaming on both platforms at once. And I do have a big project on the go at the moment. I'm making a game with a couple of friends. We're known as Team Submarine. And we're making this game, Aquaboy. So I'll show you around the project, what we've got so far. With this is, we're using Godot, Godot, however you want to say it. Right, so we'll dive right in. I'll show you what we've got. Why is this being funny? There we go. I'll show you what we've got so far. I've been working on a few specific mechanics, but like more generally, we have a platform game, like a puzzle platformer. I've got some blocks. You see how this metal one is heavy enough to push the pressure plate, and the player is. But can I pick up the wooden one? It's still quite glitchy in places, so don't judge me too much. But the wooden one is not heavy enough for the pressure plate. Yeah, all right. God, no, the game's not released yet. No, the game's not released. We're making the game. Okay, so there's still some weird things with the pressure plate, but it works mostly. And this one's set up, to only accept metal ones. So this is what I was working on today, the pressure plates. And so we do need to look at those. We need to kind of polish that off tonight. So that's one thing we're going to be working on in today's stream. You see we've got monkey bars and we've got like a ladder as well over here. We can climb a ladder. In fact, there's probably a better example of a ladder down here. And there's water. So we have this kind of water physics. So we're all floaty when we're jumping around in the water. Less so when we're out the water. So it's going to be sort of puzzle platformer, physicsy. Oh, Godot. I get it. Sorry, yeah. You're too quick for me. And we can pick up blocks and we can like place them back down, but we can also like kind of throw them with like there's a throw button, and the throw just takes your speed and direction, right, and just like throws the thing in that direction at that speed. Okay, hold on. So like if I press throw just after I've jumped, it throws it really high, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, all of the art you're seeing is completely placeholder. We have a nice idea for the art. But yes, and we've got like, it goes into a slightly like different animation, which again will be something different in the future. But for the edges, we can climb down edges as well. If you're standing on an edge like that and you press downwards, then he jumps off the edge. Whoop. Which is pretty good. Titian, yes. How's it going? It has been a while. How are you? I haven't been on YouTube in time, but we are now. Yeah, I've worked out multi-streaming, so we've got the game. We're bringing the game dev stuff to YouTube now. Yeah, so this is the game so far anyway, and we just want to get the mechanics all in a basic form so we can start getting play tests out, basically. building levels, having people play them. So soon there will be news on how to sign up to be a playtester for this game, which should be fun. Espresso martini, nice. I've just finished my pint of water. I might have to get another one. I do have some beers downstairs. I could have a beer. Maybe I'll have a beer. I've been kind of like taking it easy since Christmas, because Christmas you absolutely cane it. So the last couple of weeks I've been drinking a lot of squash. It's been nice. A lot of soft drinks, a lot of apple juice. I've been drinking a lot of apple juice. But you never know. I might go grab a beer in a minute. Anyway, so on the agenda for today is probably to mess around a little bit more with the pressure plates, but honestly they're pretty good. Yeah, just the mass being at 1, the plate and the gravity scale being at -1 is enough to actually push the wooden box up, which I was kind of surprised by. I thought that 1 kilogram with gravity scale 1 and 1 kilogram with gravity scale -1 would be completely equal, but they aren't. You see how, like, with the speed it has, it can push it down, but the plate always wins. It always pushes the wooden one back up. And they're both apparently equal. They have a gravity scale of 1 and -1 respectively, and they both weigh a kilogram. So I'm not sure why that works that way, but that's cool. It works for us for our purposes of a metal box, which I believe the metal box is stats. I thought I had the metal box open. Oh yeah, there it is. The metal box is stats. It's the same gravity scale 1, but it's kilograms. It weighs 3 kg. So it can push down the plate, no problem. Yeah. So at the moment, I guess the only difference would be if we wanted one that the wood box could do, then I think you'd just change the plate piece mass here to 0.5 possibly. Yeah, and then the wood just does it no problem. Yeah, so I think that's probably the way we do it. Yeah, the player on the thing. Oh yeah, look, and there's this. The player can't walk directly over it. That's not great. So we need to amend. We need to fix that. Probably. I wonder why. Oh, do you know what the other thing is? Is that the player's main collider, I've been meaning to turn it into a cylinder actually, and that might solve both problems. Because we're having one of the other problems we're having, the reason I wanted to just do that. You need to go, alright, no worries. Take care, ants. Feels good to be back. Okay. One of the problems we're having is being able to do this, I think, is a bit... Okay, well, that's... Yeah, we shouldn't be able to grab onto this, but look, watch this. If I climb the ladder, the box just doesn't fall off my head because the player's main collision shape is a rectangle. So we're going to change this to a cylinder. So it's 22 by 63. I guess we can use the same dimensions for the cylinder. New capsule shape. That's what I mean, not cylinder. 22? No. Oh, because it's that's radius, so 11. Oh, what did I say? 50. It can't be 53. What did I say? 60 something? Fuck, it doesn't matter. I know how big it is. It's that big. Okay. So that's the player's like main collider. There's still like the crouch collider there, and the uncrouch collider is going to be up there. Yeah, but that can be square. That's fine. The main one. Okay, let's see how that affects walking over this. Yeah, that's great. Now we can walk over that. So that little thing that I knew I wanted to do anyway, fix that. What about blocks on my head? Oh, you can still balance on there quite nicely. That's weird. Why That's weird. Isn't that very weird? Just look at the collision shapes while we do that now. I mean... Oh yeah, like he just pushed me off the ladder as well. Oh yeah, there we go. It fell off then. We got to sort out the... yeah, okay. Well, it's better. It's definitely better. I think that's probably a bug that we can deal with at a later date. It has improved things. I don't want to spend ages making everything perfect at this early stage. I want everything working reliably enough. You know, if there's little bugs here and there, I think we just got to blast through and get all the mechanics in so that we can start playtesting. And start getting the art into puzzles and making rooms that look a bit like the finished game so that we can start to promote it. So yeah, I think we do need to think like that. Right, so I think I'm fine with the plates for now. That kind of works. Oh, what I want to do is just actually give this plate script a export variable so we can say whether it's metal only. So what we'll do is we'll come up here, export var metal only, and we'll make that like a bool. That is false by default. Okay, and then when the plate is ready, it can just look and see. Like if metal only, then we want to change the plate piece mass. Say plate piece mass equals 1. And so that will change that to 1, which is what we had before. So now if I go to our test level, and we have our plate piece, our plate here. See, that's a 0.5 now. But if I tick this, actually that's still going to show 0.5 because it's that's I'm only going to change that on ready. But yeah, so on ready it will change. So now that I've ticked metal only, there we go. It doesn't accept the wooden one. I wonder if we could make it a bit weightier. What if it was 1.5 when it was metal only? Yeah, because it's frictionless, everything slides around on it. I made this thing frictionless so that it can slide up and down on the spot. But I guess I want friction on the top, but just not the sides. It's just, it's a bit ridiculous. The player can still do a metal only one. I think that's fine. I think the player should be able to do both. Oh yeah, that's some pretty bad stuff there, right? Anyway, pretend you didn't see that. 1.5 feels good. The metal only tick box works. Now I untick metal only, which is still on the instance we have in the scene. And now the wooden one is totally fine. So the wooden one does the job. Okay, so good. So I think we'll call plates like done there. Now that we have the metal only tick box for building levels, that's gonna be nice and easy. And we have a few other things. We have like switches. We have other ways of opening and closing doors. And I've made these electricity send and electricity receive nodes. So anything that can be connected to each other has this sort of in place, right? So like we look at the switch, it's got a send node on it, and we can assign it a target. The door has a receive node because the door doesn't power things, it needs to receive power to open and shut. So we'd make this receive node in our levels. As you can see here, the plate has a send node as a child, and in the send node's target we have the receive node of the door. See the door, which is this one. So you just drag that, you'll be like, okay, there's the send, we want to make it like that. Boom, that's now connected that pressure plate to that door. So that's cool. One of the things I want to implement today is a editor tool which draws that line. And I guess the editor tool should live probably on the send node, because the send node's the one with the target. So whenever, here's the script for the send node. This is the script, okay. It's a very basic script at the moment, but I knew there was going to be more functionality we want to add into these. And this is the first one. It's going to be this. It's actually just going to be a tool, but I don't know how to make tools. But that's one thing we want to do today, is learn and do that. And the tool will simply draw a line in the editor from the send node to the receive node it's connected to. So just when we're making levels, when we're building them, we'll be able to visually see what is connected to each other as we're working in the editor. So that's one thing. But very connected to that is the other thing we want to make today, which is going to be the the player's wiring mechanic, because the player is going to be able to run around and wire things up as well. And that's why I think these two things are kind of related, because we need to start learning how to draw a line between 2 points, basically. The player's wiring is going to be more complicated than that, because I want the player to kind of dangle a cable off of stuff and run around, and it will dangle around, and you can there will be a certain length you'll have to get to, and if you can't plug it into something there, then tough basically. So that's a bit of a longer project, and I thought starting with the tool that just draws a line there would be a nice place to start. So we need to read some documentation, but I imagine drawing a line in the editor is probably one of the first examples that they give for a tool. I'm hoping it's going to be easy, but let's see. I guess the online docs might be a nice place to start. Okay. Tool. I thought it was called a tool. What if I put an at before it? Because that's how you do it, right? Will you be playing Build 42? I have played a bit of Build 42, yes. Yeah, and now that I'm multi-streaming, whenever I stream Zomboid, yeah, it will be on YouTube too, so that's cool. But my main focus has been on this game dev stuff, really, and yeah, we'll see. I mean, the streaming of gaming is definitely something I want to continue to do, and this year my plan is to do more and more and more of this, basically. So yeah, fingers crossed. I would have thought it would be easier to find this. That's funny. Look, these are all my recent searches from, I think, what's it called? Freesound, where I get some of my sound samples from. Editor tools. Is that the right thing to search? Who knows? That really wasn't helpful, was it? What if I do @tool here? Here we go. Mark the current script as a tool script, allowing it to be loaded and executed by the editor. See running code in the editor. Yeah, that's what it's intended it to be. Here we go, right. Running code in the editor. What is @tool? I searched @tool. Okay, whatever. Editor top script makes it execute in the editor. You can also decide which parts of the script execute in the editor, which in game and which in both. You can use it for many things, but it's most useful in level design for visually presenting things that are hard to predict ourselves. Yeah. Ah, okay. We'll run both in editor and in game. Okay. Okay, this is going to be really easy. Am I on Twitch too? Yes, I am. And today's the day I've finally got it together to multi-stream. I just got to the point, I was saying this earlier, but I just got to the point with YouTube where I was just a bit exhausted. Oh, we got a new follower on Twitch, actually. King Julius Peanut. Shout outs to you. Thanks for that. Much appreciated. Yeah, no, because I used to hit it hard on YouTube. I used to spend hours and hours, daily putting hours into it, like to either play or edit or stream. Oh, that is you. Oh, nice one. Safe, Jack. Yeah, so then I just got exhausted by it, and then Twitch seemed like a fun way of just low pressure. I could just stream when I wanted to, but I didn't have to have any consistency, and it was a bit more like learning a different platforms. Kind of just felt like I could do that as a little more casual thing. But now I might as well just be streaming to both, and I'm quite serious about making this game, and I want people to see it. So that's what we're doing. But yeah, I think we'll do some Zomboid streams as well. It'll be fun. It would definitely be fun. Right. Anyway, this is really easy. This is really easy, I think. Yeah. Right. What am I doing? Put this over here. That'll work. Alright, sorry, I'm getting distracted. Okay, so it's just that I need. And then we'll go into the send node here and we'll put tool up there with only two O's, I mean. And I mean, these functions are only ever going to be called in game, so I don't think we ever need to worry about it. But we can go into the process here. We're not going to need delta, I don't think. We'll say if the engine's in the editor, if target, I suppose we could just do both, and target does not equal null. Is it clearer to write it like that? I think that's probably clearer. Doesn't like it. It's just because I don't have anything there. If I put pass, I think it likes it. Yeah, it likes it. Okay, good. Okay, well, I think I've got it all down. Ah, wait. Oh, shit. I just realized the chat was only on top chat. And 99's there. Safe. If you're still there, big ups to you, 99. How's it going? Yeah, I think I was only seeing like half the messages because it was set to time. Just like a bit of a noob on YouTube again. A new noob on YouTube. Okay, so if the target's not null, then what we want to do is we want to say, how do we just like draw a line? I've got that in my renderer, my water renderer. Draw. Draw rect. So are there going to be others like draw line? Draw line. Okay. Okay, so we can do draw line. Let's keep that to hand. We can close that one. If we look at our water renderer, we call that function inside this draw function. Yeah, so maybe we don't want it in process actually at all. I think we just want it in draw, because I think draw is called every frame anyway. And then we'll just say draw line from global position to target global position, color, I don't know, like cyan, something that's actually, most of the collision shapes are cyan, aren't they? Should go for like a bright, like lime green or something. Is there a lime? Let's go for lime. Width 1. Sure. Anti-alias false. I don't think that matters. If I save this, positon. I can't spell the word position. There we go. Oreo. Do you remember Bear Kenobi from like 2 years ago? Rings a bell. Yes. Is that you? Is that you there? Hello. Now, if we save that, does this work? No, it doesn't. Why not? I was hoping that was going to work. We might have to just Google something. Yeah, finally found me. Safe, Pete. How you doing? Yeah, this is gonna be confusing because I've got 2 chats on the go. I've got the Twitch and the YouTube chat. But yeah, safe. Not basically, you're not all gonna see all the messages that I'm responding to, which is quite funny. I guess that's why a lot of people don't do it. Don't do the multi-stream thing. Anyway, I wonder why this isn't working. Is there anything different I'm doing? Oh, queue redraw. We still have to do that. I think that's the thing. Queue redraw is the thing that makes this get called. So, so this if needs to go there, and this can just be in there for when that is a thing. No, it still doesn't work. Why not? Why not? Do I need to like reload the editor maybe? I wouldn't have thought so. I wonder if the physics process isn't running right now. So maybe draw is the wrong way of doing it. Maybe I should Google it. There's the line 2D object. Maybe I should just make one of those. Also, you know what I should probably do is I should probably actually look at the documentation again. How did I get to it? I went like this, and then I clicked that. Because they'll probably give more examples on here, right? If you go further down. If you don't see the changes, reload the scene and open it again. Because this putting things in the process here does imply that the process is running. Just close test level. And then just open it again. No, we still didn't get our line. Weird. Play any Minecraft anymore? Yeah, I've been playing quite a lot of like vanilla with my kids, just messing around, you know. So that's been quite fun. I played a bit of Vintage Story fairly recently, which was actually really fun, but then I died really far from my base and I'd rage quit and I haven't been back since. See if it's drawn somewhere else. Okay, interesting. So it is. Well, isn't that strange? At least the way we're trying to do it's working. Now, why is it not in the right place? Is it because... Well, I mean, its position is its position, right? Local position. Ah, wait, I see. Look, because it's doubled. It's doubled. So it's drawing it from here. So its position should be 0, and then it should be drawing to the relative position because I've fed it its global position, which is this vector here from 0 to its position, and now it's drawing it from its position to that. Yeah, I get what's going on now. So we want to draw it from just 0, and we want to draw it to, because it's the send node itself that's drawing the thing, and we want to send it to that position there, which is up and to the side from there. So what's the deal with that? It's like, it's like this guy's global position minus that guy's global position, which would pop it there. And then that would be the right place from 0. Yeah, so we want to say target global position minus global position. There you go. There you go. Now I think it's being drawn at the same Z index as the plate itself. So it's like a piece of the plate rather than being in front of everything else, which maybe we could change. But for now, like, that's going to be fine. That's going to be totally fine. Because if you can see the plate at all, then you'll be able to see this line, right? In your scene hierarchy. Okay. Well, tick. We've implemented our first tool. That's pretty nice. And should we just check it's not in game? It is in the game. Of course it's in the fucking game. I guess the draw command is called once at the very beginning. So we need that in there, and then it won't. Yeah, I think what happens is the draw command is called once at the very beginning of the scene, and then any draw commands it has, it will deal with. And then if you want to redraw every frame, then you have to cue the redraw like that. If we comment out all of this, will it still work in the editor? I don't think... Oops. What did I just do? Oh. God's sake. I want to just comment out this for a second. Save that and then see. It's there still, right? If we delete this And then we reload the level, it's there. What if we move the plate? It's just still doing that. It doesn't update, right? Whereas if I come into the script and we have the redraw happening all the time, then in the test level, which I want over here, if we move the plate, oh, it doesn't update. Oh, that's annoying. That's disappointing. Maybe it doesn't update because we need to reload the scene because the tool changed. Yeah, perfect. Perfect, 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 perfect. Perfect. Okay, good. Let's move on with the show. We'll save that. Okay, so now we want to do that, but we want the player to be able to connect things together. And if we check in the game, it's not rendering that. Okay, good. Oh yeah, so Pete, I don't know if you saw when I was showing this stuff off earlier, but I'll show it off again quickly. So this pressure plate here that we have loaded into this scene at the moment, it's metal only. Export variable is off, so the wooden crate works. It's heavy enough, and you can see, look, I've tightened up this now. It doesn't glitch out anymore. I mean, there's still glitchy things it does do, but that's a different glitch. But we could probably make it heavier to solve that one actually. Anyway, yeah, the wood is heavy enough, and obviously the metal is heavy enough too. But if we give this plate the metal only tick, now that changes the weight of the plate piece. So the player can still do it, but the wood box cannot manage it. If we drop it from high enough, I think it manages it. No, it still doesn't. Yeah, but metal does. So yeah, the pressure plates I'm pretty happy with now. The key thing was making the little dude that's inside the plate piece. Let me show you the scene. So we've got the plate piece, which is a rigid body, and it looks like that. Just a little piece with a little collision box that's slightly bigger than the actual thing that we render. But the thing we render is slightly longer at the bottom than the collision box. Aha, both important details. And then I'll hide that. We have the limits. This is just a separate collision layer called plates that only pressure plates are on, and nothing else will collide with this thing, but the pressure plate will, so it can only move inside this little box, but it's still a physics object. And then we have the base, which is actually on the main world layer, but the little plate piece doesn't collide with the world layer because its mask of world is not on. It only collides with plates, but it is on the plates layer itself, and it is on the objects layer, and because it's on the objects layer, boxes and things and the player can collide with it, but it's not on world, so it doesn't collide with its own base, which is on world. Will 2 wooden boxes work? I think they might, you know. Yeah, that's a good question, because I did want to build it like that to try that. So let's actually try that. It's kind of funny I haven't yet. We'll just move you down there and we'll steal another wooden one. Because there's 0 friction on it, it's pretty hard to put things on it as well. Also, this room is really impractical. I could have made a bigger space for me to do my testing in. The way it just slides off. Oh, it's already broken. Get on. Ah. It worked for like a second. Oh, it doesn't look like 2's enough. Oh yeah, it is. It's like just enough. That's pretty cool. Oh, yeah, the limits collider is the idea I had today, Pete, that made it work. Like, I spent a couple of days trying to do various other things, and I was like, maybe the pressure plate needs its own layer, and it just lives in a little box that nothing else can collide with, but it can't escape. That was because I was trying to limit its movement in code before, and it was like this hybrid of it wanting to be a physics object but being controlled by code, and I was just getting into a mess. But now it's entirely physics. The only thing the code does is just check here. If it gets low enough, if it gets pushed down 7 pixels or more, we're on. I tweaked that a bit, but that felt the right amount. And that's it. But we are checking every frame, and maybe we could have a signal for when that happens. So if it becomes this, send a signal or something. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. This works for now. It's fine. It's good for prototyping, right? For like making some levels. Now, interestingly, this icon has changed because it's a tool. And maybe we don't want to put our tools like into the objects like this, but I'm sure it's fine. Yeah. Anyway, fun. So, the next thing for tonight then. Yeah, this is good. This is nice. The next thing for tonight, I think, is to try to get... Basically, what I want is I want the player to be able to plug things in. So, let's draw a picture of like a kind of scenario here. And we might just rebuild it in the test level. But let's say we have a room, and there is a pressure plate. Okay, and there's a box. The box goes on the pressure plate, but the pressure plate is connected to like a plug socket in the wall. So when you put the box on the pressure plate, like this goes like green, it's like, oh, I'm powered. And then the player can come along, and there'll be like another socket over here. I'm using the British 3-pin here. For anyone watching from another country, that's what the plugs look like in this country. Over here, like this one will be like red, and it'll be like connected to the door. Yeah, and so that's the puzzle we want to make. And then then there'll be like a cable on the floor or something, or the player will just have the ability. For now, the player will just have the ability to do this, but obviously what the player's got to do is pick up. The player will have to come here, press interact, and then there'll be some cable that will be like connected to the player as they run through the level. It'll be like here, and then as they walk, the cable will stretch, and then they plug it in, and then then they've basically chosen to connect. Where did my mouse? I've lost my cursor. They've chosen to connect, and I guess I could have. You know, it would have been better if I'd have like drawn this more like here. And the box is like, oh, why did it go so, okay. And the box is like there, whatever, onto there. But you get it, like they'll see an item with a little plug next to it, and they'll see another item with a little plug next to it, and they'll have cables. And so the player will be able to basically rewire rooms. We'll be able to make some interesting puzzles. So I want to set up, basically what I haven't built yet are these plugs. And they're just going to be quite simple little versions of these send and receive nodes, basically. Yeah. I guess what the plugs will have is both. They'll have a receive node that will need to plug them into something, and they'll have a send slot. And the send slot might be left empty and for the player to fill. And then basically, the cabling system will dump receive nodes into these send node targets when the player makes connections, is how I'm imagining it to work. So why I kind of compartmentalize the send and receive nodes so any object can have them. So we need a plug. We need to make the kind of the plug. Well, the socket, maybe it's called a socket. That's what it's called, isn't it? A socket. And of course, remember, this game has all of these water physics in it. And so that's where this really will come into its own, because then we could have a puzzle where there's like a room with this setup where we've got the pressure plate and the plug. And over here, we've got the plug and the door. Okay. And then there's like, I don't know, some other puzzle above, or there's something you've got to do. There's like a pipe and it comes down like this, and you do something in another room over here, whatever you do, and it makes water come out the pipe, and the water fills up this area, and then the player gets cables and they connect cable to water, put the box on the thing. Then this is all like electric water, and it powers the door. But then the player's like stuck over here. This is going to be one of those good puzzles where it's obvious that that's what the player has to do, but they're stuck on this side. Whenever they power it, now whenever the door's open, they're stuck and they can't get over. They can't get over without dying to the electricity. So that'll be a thing. So yeah, we'll call it a socket. I think socket is the right word, and that's what we're going to build now. We're going to make this piece the socket. Okay, good. Thank you for coming to my art class. All right. So I don't think I'm interested in any of these components really anymore. I don't think. Oh, the script goes blue. It's kind of cool. Maybe it is the wrong way to do it. Like, maybe what we should do is we should have a script, like a node in our test level that's called editor tools, and the script's there and it's just running, and we just have everything in there for that. I don't know. The way I've done it like this means whenever we make one of these, that editor tool is running, but when none of those are made, the editor tool isn't running. And I suppose the code isn't running in game because we have that. Yeah, so I guess it's fine to just put them into our existing scripts. I guess it's fine. Right, the pickup node, I don't think we need that out at the moment. We'll keep switch and door because I think those are the objects we'll use to test this. And so in our test level, let's move these boxes out the way. Or whatever, we'll just put that there. I want to test this over a slightly larger area, right? So at any rate, this plate can go. And then the wooden box can go. You know what I was thinking about, some functionality to add to the receive node, is to have a export variable on it. So it's called always powered. Bool, my O key on my keyboard is playing up, and I get lots of double O's that I don't want. Yeah, so if I set always powered, then we'll just do func when you're ready. We'll just oh god, I can't type. Yeah, we'll just do this on ready, but we'll do that if always powered. So now I should be able to make the circuit, make the socket always powered sometimes. So I think we'll make this as a node. We'll call it socket. Now, let me think. These sockets aren't going to be... They're always going to be doing something. They're always going to be associated with... The player isn't going to be changing what the socket is connected to. We are, when we make the levels. The player is going to be choosing... Yeah. Let me think about this. I think we might want two types. We might want like a sending socket and a receiving socket. But no, they need to do both. I think the socket just needs to have both nodes on it. Now, how will it know when the player... If a socket is powered already, you know, could we cause problems if the player is able to connect two power sources together? What happens? I guess nothing happens. We just have to put some logic in that stops our code from like crashing if that happens, right? So, yeah, I think it just needs both. And then it probably needs a script of its own to kind of handle all of this. No, there's something I need to think about actually. Because there does kind of need to be a sense of what direction things are going in. Like, for this socket, yes, it's got to send and receive, but we need to define which way round, which direction the power is flowing. Because basically what these sockets are, I'm going to have to go back to Paint. There's like, if you imagine the scenario I had before with the pressure plate and its socket here, and with the door and its socket here, Okay. Behind the scenes, the player can't see this, but we as developers will connect this pressure plate to that socket. The send on this guy will be connected to the receive on that guy. And the player can't see that connection or change it. That's behind the scenes. What these sockets are like an interface between the cabling that the player can't see or control and then the stuff that they can when they draw those cables. When the player comes running along like this. Connecting the two. So in this instance, like the power is very much going in this direction, and this socket is using its receive. I'm doing this to get my own head around it. Like, I find it very helpful to draw the things. Don't need to have a direction, they just need to have power or not. Maybe you're right. Let me get my head around this. So wait, so it's using its receive in the behind the scenes world, and it's sending power outwards to for the player to connect to. By contrast, this one here, its receive node will be connected to the player, to the outward facing part of the socket, and the inward facing part, the part that we control in the editor as developers, will be its send function. So you see what I mean? We can put an invisible power source that should already have power to power sockets. Yeah, but some of the sockets won't have power because they'll be the ones that you plug into at the other end. So this socket doesn't have power, but we don't need to. But we don't want to give it power behind the scenes. We don't want to give it power from a game object. We only want it to get power from a cable that the player plugs into it. But I guess in theory that doesn't matter. Maybe it does just need to be... The socket has no power by default, but we can connect power to ones we want to have power. Yeah, so that's why, it like as we were setting all this up, I went into the receive node and put this always powered. So now, this socket in its receive node, we can just tick always powered. But I guess if something else is targeting its receive node, yeah, I guess it should be fine. I don't know. I'm going to go get a pint of water. I'll be back. Okay. So in your pick, maybe okay, let's look at the pick again. Maybe the plate works as a switch that connects the power source to the socket rather than the plate powering the socket. Yeah, well, I guess, I mean, that's like kind of functionally the same, isn't it? I'm just trying to get my head around whether this matters. Like, I guess it doesn't. I guess the point is, it's going to get parent and turn on. So the receive node, we just need to write a script here that links the two of them together. Because all the functions are called turn on and turn off. So this guy can have a little script on it called socket. And it's got to have turn on and turn off functions. I think it's got to have references to both of these guys. And then it's sort of got to have those. So when it gets turned on, when this is called, it will be because its receive node has said so. So we then want to trigger the send node to, and I think we're going to get rid of target there. We just want to tell the send node to turn on or turn off. And we'll save this scene in electricity. Where did my socket script go? Because I saved that already. There. We'll pop that in within the electricity folder there. So the socket now will just pass anything through. I guess in theory this is going to work. What we need to do is we need to give the socket some actual existence. So we're going to give it a little sprite here. And the sprite will just be one of our test boxes. We'll use the switch. I used that one. So I guess for the socket for now, we'll just use the little, that guy. 0.25. Why don't we make this 0.5? So it's not quite as small as the itty bitty switch. And we'll just call this sprite for now. And then let's get a little shape. What do we call it? Like a polygon. And we'll have it be just a little thing, a little square or whatever. Ugh. Why is its origin moving? Oh, I guess I have to pick these points up and move them to where I want it to be. I guess we'll make it look like that. In fact, we'll put this is like the little light. Let's call that the light, and let's duplicate it, and just to make this kind of look a bit cool. And we'll make that like black, so it just looks like it's got a little hole in it with a little light on top. And this, we'll call this hole. It doesn't really matter. This is just for, this is all placeholder, right? And we'll control the color of the lighting code. So in the socket script, because the socket, I suppose, like the switch, needs this export variable, I think, of on or powered or something. State. We call it state in the door. We should make this more consistent. The send and receive nodes don't have, but they do have a. Is always powered the right thing to say? Just start powered, isn't it? Well, no, I guess it's fine. What we're saying is if something's always powered, we're basically saying that it's never going to receive power. But that could be a problem with the socket, because there might be a time when something that's always powered. So I guess when turn off gets called, we say if not always powered, turn off. Right, and if not always powered, yeah, we just never need to do any of that stuff unless it's set to not always powered. And if it is always powered, we just turn it on at the beginning and we just leave that receive node just permanently on. Well, its parent, whatever object that the receive node is on, that object will be permanently turned on because it'll never turn off. Fine. So the door calls it state. The held button just calls it on. The switch calls it on because that's very much just another held button actually. I think state isn't as clear as calling it on, but powered is surely the clearest. When we turn it off, powered is true. Ah. So does the door, does that need to start as false? So then this can be considered true and that can be considered false because that makes way more sense. Which means that now the build door script, that has to be reversed. Which I'm sure we can do. Build door. Is that the only mention of state in there? Okay, so that should work. I guess we should probably test that because I just pissed around with it. Okay, well the door seems to work as a door, as expected. Let's put a switch in. The switch can go Go there. Let's just get our platforms out a second and just fill that in so that looks a bit prettier. We'll get the switch edit for children, and it will send to the receive node of the door. We get our line in the editor. Nice. And it still works. Oh, we want to test that that works with water. Which I'm sure it will. So we go into the setup, get these tiles, and just, I guess we just fill that room with water. Yep. Works beautifully. It drags a few little bits through after you close it, but it's totally fine. Okay, so we've refactored that ever so slightly and made the door call that powered, which I think is good. That's clear. The held button can be calling that powered as well. And we'll just go in and change any mentions of on to powered. Save. Then the switch has the same issue. If powered equals not powered, and if powered do that, or if not do that. And I think now we've made that all consistent. So now we can come into our socket. Yeah, so these are export variables. And I guess we might want that. Probably not for the socket. I mean, I guess I don't see why we'd want the switch to be. No, I guess that is fair enough. This because the switch is like a two-way lever. We might want to set one up that's defaulting to on. When you walk into the room, it might just be set to on. The held button, I don't really see that ever needing to be an export variable. When would we want a button that you need to hold down to do something? Well, yeah, maybe you have to hold it to toggle it back off, but I think the holding was a one-way. I built the holding like a one-way thing, so I guess whatever. We'll just be consistent and have it as an export variable, but I don't think we need to. Oh, that shouldn't be called socket. That should be called powered. By default, that would be false. And if we wanted to make a socket that was always powered by some invisible force, we just take always powered on the receive section of it. Okay. So this is just going to be really messy because it can be, because this isn't important for now. We're not making it look pretty right now. We're making it work. So we'll say if powered and so powered would be true there, and here it would be false. And if powered, light dot color equals color in fact, this doesn't need to be a process thing. This can just be on ready. We can make this a lot more efficient. If it's powered, then the color would be what? How do you do it? Dot green. Yeah, fine. Else red. Red. Okay, and then when we turn it on, we make it green, and when we turn it off, we make it red, and then that doesn't matter because it's not in the game. Oh, and also we can get rid of all this water now that we've tested that. So at the moment our switch is connected to the door. Let's change that. Let's bring the switch over here. Not just the eSend node. Bring the whole switch over to here. And let's put in a socket. The socket can go just next to it. And put it between the switch and the door here. And then we'll give the switch, the socket, editable children. And the send node from the switch will take the receive from the socket instead now. Okay. And now when I turn, oh, okay, it doesn't work. Target.turn-on. So it would turn on the sender receive node there. Oh, I see. It's because the socket doesn't have a target. Yeah, okay, I get it. So the send nodes, when they turn on, they've got to just be like if target is not null. Like whenever it tries to do anything to the target, it's got to check whether it even has a target or not. And now that should work. And it goes green when it's on and red when it's off. Okay, so that's perfect. That's a good start. And then whenever its target changes, we want it to update. We want it to like ping its target with whatever its state currently is, but it's not saving its state. So that's the thing. So I guess the send and receive nodes really for completeness sake should have, they should keep track of whether they're powered or not, shouldn't they? Or is it the responsibility of the parent object to keep track of if its target ever changes? We sort of want the send nodes to push an update. Whenever their target changes, they have to go, whoa, my target just changed. That means that something might need to receive a turn on signal from me, but only if I'm powered myself. A send node is always going to have a parent that has a powered variable. A send node won't just exist on its own. It's always going to be the child of something that has that variable. So it doesn't need it in itself. I do think that's true. That it doesn't need it in itself. But there does need to be some kind of signal whenever this variable gets changed. I don't know how to do that. Quick Google. Signal for when a variable is changed. Godot 4. Oh yeah, it's a setter function. I do know about these. So we need to do a setter on that target function there, on that target variable. So whenever that gets set, okay, so setter, it's not in there. The search results are not great. The latest stable version, yeah, cool. Can I look at a setter, please? And it's just going to show me in no particular order 27 pages that have the word setter in, but it's not going to prioritize ones that maybe are called setter or that are actually specifically about how setters work. No, it's just a load of random things. Great, how helpful. Oh god, I'm just reading this thing, but and it's for Godot 3, and then it just says at the bottom, oh, looks like this has been changed in Godot 4. Oh, fuck's sake. Well, I need to probably just spend some time on that when I'm not live streaming. Although that said, I was going to try and get an earlier night tonight as well. So maybe we could knock it on the head shortly. It was mostly just wanting to experiment with this dual streaming thing, but we are on YouTube and Twitch at the same time, which is very, very jokes. So what we'll do in our test level, we'll keep messing around with this just for a minute. So we're going to get another socket in now. And yeah, we'll call it socket 2, and that can go underneath the door here. And it will have editable children as well. And it will live over here, just next to the door. And then the door will receive from the send of socket 2. So the socket 2 wants to put the door's receiver in and be linked like that. Okay, so now we just need to make it so that when this is green, and then the player can come over here and interact with that. Drag it over here, interact with that, connect the two, and then the door opens. And then once that cable is in place, the player should be able to come over here, press this button, and open and shut the door. Or they could come here and disconnect the cable to open and shut the door. Or disconnect the cable on this side, I suppose. There's actually quite a lot to do to get this working, I think. I think we can do it. And I want the cables to also be physics objects, so they kind of like bounce and look cool. So we'll be getting that involved as well. But this is some good groundwork. And we have the editor tool, which is really nice. So not too bad. Not too bad at all. Just trying to think if there's any other like quick wins and steps along the way. I don't think so. I think we really have to we have to do this the hard way. The thing about having to pulse is true. I suppose what we could do is just have a function called setTarget here, which is what we'll use whenever we want to, whenever the player's going to change an object's target, we'll use this function, and therefore it will be fine. As long as we always change this, whenever we go to change this, we don't just say set, blah-de-blah dot target equals this. We use set target, and then we put in here new target there, like that. Then we can say if get parent dot powered well, the first thing we'd do is we'd say target equals new target, and then if the parent is powered, send a turn on signal to the target. I think that's it. Because the socket itself turn on power to be true. Yeah, I think that will actually solve our problem without me having to learn how to actually use setters and getters, because we're only yeah, this will be fine. Yeah. Okay, well maybe we'll soldier on for 20 minutes or half an hour more, because I think I could actually probably get this working just without the physics element on here. So the socket needs to be interactable, just like the switch does. It needs one of these areas on the interactions thing. So we'll give the socket an area 2D. We'll call it area, and it will be on interactions, and it will have a collision shape, which will be a lovely little rectangle. And will the player have a fixed number of wires that they can use? Probably. Will the player have health and things? Yeah, but for now, without any player stats in the mix, we'll just give the player the ability to sort of connect infinite cables, I suppose. Now I wonder, I was thinking about this, and actually it is a little bit complicated because the player's got this huge state machine. I think when you're holding a cable, you should be in pickup mode. You can't like climb up ladders, and you have to just be able. If you're holding a cable, you've got to be holding the cable, I think. Either that, or we make the decision that the player can do all of their abilities while holding a cable. But I don't think they can. I think they shouldn't be allowed. I think they should be like, we should use the state for when they're holding a box, for example. They can only move between these 4 states while they're holding something. They basically can't do anything that involves their hands. Although, I mean, crouching and crawling holding a cable is more realistic than crouching and crawling carrying a box around. So maybe I'm not thinking about it correctly, because maybe the cable would just be tethered to their waist anyway. You wouldn't need to hold it. You just plug it in, and then it'd be, you run along and it's just connected to your waist. I don't know. But there's a decision to make about that, about what kind of state the player is in while they are cabling something. And then, the socket has this interactable area now. So that means because it has an interactable area, I think it needs to have an interaction type, which we'll then need to add to the player script as well. And its interaction type isn't really a switch. I think a socket is its own interaction type because it triggers a very specific state that the player will be in. So I think we'll make a new interaction type called socket that we'll use. And then we only actually let the player do interactions when in those 4 states: fall, idle, jump, and run. The same 4 that we have pickup versions of. Those are the only 4 where we're looking for interactions around the player at the moment, which makes sense. I don't think the player should be able to interact with things when they're climbing up a ladder or hanging off monkey bars or crouching even. I think it's fine to just be like, you have to be like standing still or jumping off, or like your hands have to be available. And I think even when you're crouching, you can argue their hands aren't available. I'm getting messages from Pete about these shadows and stuff. Oh, that does look cool. That does look very cool though, man. Scrap. Morning. How are you? Long time. I'm actually kind of finishing up here now. unfortunately. It was a bit of an experiment to just see if I could get Twitch and YouTube streaming at the same time, and I can, which is very fun. But yeah, I think this is a little bit of a tomorrow thing. It's sort of 11:30 now. Thinking about adding a new interaction type just seems really long. It would be in idle, I guess we'd do it first. If it's a pickup, do this. If it's a switch, do that. The hold one is a hold interaction type. Oh yeah, look, we check for holds there first. And I think you can only do holds in idle. I don't think we can even do that when we're running or jumping or falling. We don't even check for holds. You have to be just still and holding. That makes sense. So let's add in I don't know why I didn't just copy this whole thing. I should have done. What did I call it? Socket. I guess we want use socket. And there's gonna have to be some checks, some back and forth between the socket and the player there, because the socket will be in a certain state. Like, yeah, the socket doesn't just have is it powered, but it will also have a variable just like is it plugged in. And I guess that needs to be an export variable too, because we might want some to start with a wire hanging out of them that the player can pick up and move around. Actually, yeah, this does require quite a bit more thought, because I need to think about what my cable objects actually are. Once the player actually completes a circuit and that cable goes in, they need to be like the socket. The cable objects need to have both send and receive functionality in them. And when you plug something into a socket, the game needs to know which way round that link is. The game does need to know the direction. The way I've built it with sending and receiving. We're going to leave this till the morning. There's a lot to think about here. I need this to all go around my head. When the player plugs something into a socket, let's say the socket isn't powered. Like this situation right here. You see this socket here is wired up to the door. So the socket wants to receive. It's never going to be powered, this thing, by something else. It's only ever going to be powered by the player plugging something into it. By contrast, this guy is never going to be powered by the thing that's plugged into it. It's, ooh. The socket needs focus on and focus off functions, so we don't get crashes. And it needs to have a sprite. There we go. So now when we get near to the sockets, they go red, but use socket doesn't exist. But yeah, that works at least. Yeah, do you see what I mean though? That like when the player comes up to this switch and plugs it in, do we make the cables send into this guy's receive, or do we make this guy's send into the cables receive? And right now, because both of these sockets aren't powered, there's not really a way for the game to know when the player plugs it in what's going on. I mean, we could just be very rudimentary about it and say, if, when the player plugs it in, if it has a target already, then don't replace that target. We're essentially... Yeah, we're sort of... I mean, that would probably work, because we're not going to put a socket down and have no connection coming from it either way. Like, we've got the tools in the editor. If we see a socket and it's not got a green line coming out of it to something, then it's going to never work. Unless we use them as an ability to daisy chain cables together. But I don't think we'll do that. It doesn't feel like it would be particularly fun. The plugs might need power too. Yeah, for sure. No, water won't be targetable. I will have to deal with water separately in terms of how powers... what we'll probably do is, because it will only be the cables that will actually have that live quality about them. Maybe also the sockets could. If the socket is like... Let's say the... Oh yeah, we can't use socket anymore. I'll just pass here for now. Let's say this room is filled with water and then you turn that on and it goes green. Maybe then if there's water and that's green, then it should charge the water too. But what we'll need to do is have the sockets and the cables, the ends of the cables, be able to sense whether they're underwater or not, which we can very easily do. The water algorithm script just has a function for that we can just call to check if any spot is underwater position. We can just feed it a position and say, is this underwater? And then if it is, what we'll have to do is have a function that calculates the whole body of water, like every... Well, actually... In here, in the class, what we'd do is we'd have a charged variable. And I guess you'd propagate that through. Be interesting to try that. Anyway, all this stuff for the future. I think for now I'm going to call it a night. We got the fundamentals for the cables done, but I was thinking this part was going to be a little bit quicker, and I'm realizing we've set ourselves up well with the send and receive nodes, and now we've got this tool, we've set ourselves up well. But yeah, the next bit, there's still quite a bit to unpick. But yeah, this has been lots of fun, and yeah, I'm back on YouTube. I'm streaming on both sides of the coin, as it were. So yeah, that's fun, and I'll be back with more probably tomorrow. So yeah, big up yourselves, be excellent to each other, peace, see you soon. Okay, bye.